folks, it is March 20th. March is roaring in like a lion. We had snow in Kansas yesterday. It was 80 on Tuesday and snow on Wednesday. I'm a little crazy here. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Ask Us Anything. My name is Kurt Von Onen. I'm here with Magic Emily Middleton. We'll be here for the next hour or so, taking all questions related to Lifter LMS. But as we say, ask us anything. Who's your favorite Star Wars character? We had that come up before. Big shout out to Stuart. Stuart is with us already has a question in the box, which is great. But here's the deal, folks. You go ahead, no matter what channel you're watching on, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X. We're on a lot of channels right now. And we get a lot of people in here, but we need the interaction to be able to make it somewhat entertaining and informative. So if you have a question, go ahead and put that question into the chat, and we can go ahead and get you some answers. We've also got some questions that were, that were pre-submitted, and we'll go ahead and take those as well to fill in some of the gaps. In the meantime, folks, if you would, go ahead and write this down, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, and that will get you a 55% off coupon on anything that kind of stokes your interest here and now in the moment. And before we jump in any questions, I want to go ahead and give Emily a chance. Is there anything you want to say, cover, input, or tell us what's going on this week?
I don't know. I woke up about 30 minutes ago. I'm here on my patio, just tending to my Lamborghinis, and just doing Lifter LMS things this week. A lot of complicated custom development stuff and crazy stuff.
Did you say next to your Lamborghinis or something? What was that?
Yeah, it's like here in my garage with my new Lamborghinis. It's just,
that's like one of my lines.
Yeah.
All right. So again, questions and answers in the chat. That helps us keep things going. I've got some questions I'm going to pepper into the chat as well that were pre-submitted. And as we get started today, I'm going to put Stuart's question on screen, and let's just give Emily a chance to respond if we see something there. It looks like that's something you're going to be able to answer pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah. Hi, Emily and Kurt. At the beginning of Lifter LMS course, is it possible to change author to something else like course tutor? Yes, you can. I think my answer will only be as fast as my ability to pull up a screen share, which is not prepared.
Well, it's not a race.
So let me get my screen share going. Here it is. Share this screen. Allow. Don't share my whole desktop. How do I change that? Firefox. No. Good. Okay. There we go. I got it. Let's view.
Shazam!
It is loading. There we go. So changing the title within a course, I sometimes recommend to people to build their own block to display the author, just because it makes it you can make it look very cool. But if you want to use the Lifter LMS one out of the box, which I don't even have on my course here, let's put the course author block on there. Dum-da-dum. I don't even know if that's the right one. Let me make sure that's right. Should be in like a little circle. Should look better than this.
Should look better than that.
Should look better than that. Is there another one? Course, is it instructor? Instructors, that's what it's called. This one, yes. We can click on the Lifter LMS logo up here in the upper right corner when editing the course, and then we can see that Arthur Wells is the only author on here. We can change this to course tutor. Save that. And then on my little bio box here, we can see course tutor is now what appears there. So that's that little rocket icon when you're editing a course.
From Felicia. All right. My allergies have been killing me this week. Might have something to do with going from 80 degrees to 30 degrees yesterday. We're back to like 50, mid 50s again today, though. No snow on the ground. It's all gone.
Nice.
Stuart jumps in, says, haha, so simple when you know how. Many thanks. And you know what? That is, we see that all the time, Stuart. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, as you become a professional in this market, you know, when you're working in WordPress, you're running an agency, whatever, there's a lot of things clients ask you to do. And you're like, well, that's, you know, $100, that's $200, that's $300. We'll do a coaching call. We'll do whatever. And people go, oh, and then you jump into a screen share and you go click, 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 done. And they're like, hey, but that is like being an auto mechanic and knowing, you know, which thing to swing the hammer at, right? It's, you're not paying for the swinging of the hammer. You're paying for the 3 decades of knowledge it took to accrue that. But yeah, it's super, super interesting. There is a lot of nooks and crannies in any WordPress platform, anything that you would consider a platform. So like if you say, oh, I just want community, I'm going to load up Buddy Boss real quick. There's no real quick to loading up Buddy Boss. I mean, you can load it up, but you ain't going to know how nothing works in there until you float around, experiment with things, click on things, be willing to break things and reload things. Like it, even if you read the directions, it still takes time to get confident and build confidence in that arena. Same thing with Lifter. Lifter's a big platform. I mean, it is maintaining your learning content, your memberships, your e-commerce arm of learning. It does a lot. And so there are a lot of different settings and nooks and crannies. And so we'll do our best to try and point you around in here. But sometimes we run into things ourselves where we go, oh, we don't know. But this was a case we could do it pretty quick. Delphine's with us again from Canada. Oh, Canada. Good morning from Merritt, British Columbia, Canada. I always like to check in with you guys because you teach me things that I've never heard before, and thank you. And I wanted to put that on screen and just thank Delphine for always coming and being faithful. She's really great to have with us. Now, we've got a question from, I think this is, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this one or not. Emily, because I'm not sure. I don't have a sproutvideo.com thing, right? So it says, is an integration of videos from sproutvideo.com possible? I want to be like open to things. I think what's happening here, because I've seen some similar messaging with the Sprout Video thing and other channels with LifterLMS. And so I think, and I don't know if it's Joaquin or Joaquin or however you say the name. I think what they're trying to do is use advanced videos, like you have to watch the whole video, you know, pause and restart the video. I think you're looking for advanced video options, but using sproutvideo.com interface. And advanced videos from LifterLMS only works with YouTube, Vimeo, and Wistia. So the only things that we really support from the LifterLMS side is YouTube, Vimeo, or Wistia. And I know that that's unfortunate, especially if this is a corporate account, because if it's a corporate account, maybe you're already locked into some kind of a contract or you're already paying for something and you're like, no, we have to use Sprout Video. But I will give you this. This is kind of like a freebie. So maybe this is something to look at. I have a lot of clients that host their videos on bunny.net. And the reason I mentioned bunny.net is because it's super affordable. But bunny.net works with Presto Player, and Presto Player and bunny.net are able to basically imitate the Vimeo settings in advanced videos. So I can use Presto Player and bunny.net to get the same advanced video characteristics in my website as if I were on a Vimeo website. And so I know that this answer sounds more complicated than it needs to be. But if you were to possibly check with Presto Player to see if there's an integration with Sprout Video and Presto Player, that might be your answer. That's what you're trying to do. If it was just embedding the video without the advanced video features, right? If it was just embedding the video, you wouldn't have to worry about where the video is hosted. You would get an embed code from your video host, and you would just embed the video using that custom HTML block. Just load it in there, and it would play. You would be able to control the size of the player. You would be able to make all kinds of adjustments with your code, and it would be a straightforward practice. But if you're looking for those advanced video features from the LifterLMS advanced feature, the advanced add-on, it's either YouTube, Vimeo, or Wistia, or something that connects through Presto Player and still interacts, like bunny.net. So maybe a reasonable thing to do is reach out to Presto Player and see if Presto Player can host the sproutvideo.com. Is that a fair answer? What do you think, Emily?
Yeah. I was trying to see if there's any like custom code, but I don't see anything that integrates it, even if you have a custom code solution. I know, like with payment gateways, if you don't find a payment gateway that works with Lifter that you want to use, there's a custom payment gateway template we provide, but it doesn't look like the same thing exists for videos, unfortunately. So, yeah, Presto Player would be the way to go. It's just so deeply integrated into the LifterLMS reporting, the advanced videos thing. So it's a little complicated to add a new provider to that. But there might be a way, if you have a custom developer on the team, have them take a look at our advanced videos product code and see if they might be able to adapt that to your player. If you're really looking to make sure it works with Sprout.
Well, and if it's a real corporate project, there might be budget for that kind of activity too.
Yeah.
That seems to be the biggest thing. Like, and for those that aren't familiar, that are coming in, seeing this or watching this, when I say things and sound so glib about it, try not to get upset at me. Like, don't be like, oh, he's always worried about the money, or he just says it's easy. I come from a background where big corporations that I worked for were paying $500,000 a year for a learning management system for their company. And so, when I say, if this is a corporate thing and it's fully funded, you could just have it, custom coded or whatever. And I say it all glibly like it's easy to do. It's not that it's easy, but there is funding, because if a company was previously paying $500,000 a year for a learning management system, and now they can host a WordPress website, slap in LifterLMS, and then fill up the website with whatever marketing material they want, they might spend $50,000, $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 building the website. They're still so far ahead of their previous budget. And then, of course, once the site's built and they're hosting and maintaining it, that budget is greatly shrunk, right? And so one of my biggest projects was putting a LifterLMS website inside a company that had been paying $400,000 a year for a learning. So I know firsthand what that's like, to free up that kind of budget and bring that kind of money to the company. It seems like you're spending a lot of money on the build or on the technology, but if you knew the budgets that they were previously paying, you'd be like, this is a bargain. And so it changes your perspective a little bit. So I just wanted to make sure I said that publicly, because I don't know that people watching this would understand what I say on that sometimes. We got another one. This one to me is confusing. I tried to answer this one on Facebook, and now here it is as a live question. So my answer on Facebook obviously sucked. Demian comes in and says, my use case: I want to migrate from LearnDash to LifterLMS. On LearnDash, my courses are structured with segments, lessons, and topics within the lessons. Since LifterLMS doesn't provide for topics, this is a problem. I want to ask whether I could create some custom post types or post topics and let this be assigned to LifterLMS by a developer for little money. Have you ever heard of this?
Segments and lessons.
I tried to ask what the use case was. The use case is, I guess it's a giant course with a lot of lessons in it, and the lessons are able, in LearnDash, they can separate their lessons by topics.
Yeah.
So say it was a digital cookbook. I don't know if that's the case or not. let's say it's a digital cookbook with 1,000 recipes and each lesson is a recipe. And he says, no, I want to separate them by topics. So I think sections. Immediately, I think sections, right? Italian food, American food, French food, whatever. But his question is more like, can they search by topic, just go to that lesson and just do that lesson? Whereas usually our use case is someone signs up for a course and goes section 1, lessons 1, 2, 3, section 2, lessons 4, 5, 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so integrating a custom post type into the LifterLMS course hierarchy is hard. I'm doing a thing right now where I'm reverse engineering the like a Learn-LTI integration to make it work for Lifter, and because sections exist in Lifter, it's like a big pain. So you can use custom taxonomies and apply them to lessons. So if you use something like advanced custom fields, you could create a taxonomy and then categorize your items by taxonomy. It's just that they wouldn't show in the syllabus the same way. Like the LifterLMS syllabus wouldn't really be pulling your custom taxonomy for topics. However, with custom development, like Kurt said, your use case, it adds a lot of context here. But if you're trying to like have a recipe book where people come to your course, they search by topic, and then they drill into a recipe on that topic, you could have a custom search bar created that only queries recipes within certain topics, or something like that, and then they could like select the topic they wanted and see the lessons that come up as a product of that topic. That would be a custom taxonomy applied to lessons, and then a custom done search query on your course.
Yeah, and if you have the budget for custom development, I wouldn't imagine that would be too expensive.
No, it's yeah, the biggest pain is figuring out the search thing. WordPress search is really bad, so the taxonomy would take you 5 minutes, but the search is going to be about 5 weeks. Not really. It's like 5 days, maybe. But getting that use case locked in is important.
Oh, it's good stuff. All right. Look at this. Yep. Shocked. Yep. He's live too. That's awesome. Debbie Wilson. Here we go. Debbie Wilson says, "Can you chase the photo?" She meant change the photo. Can you change the photo? So that's back in Stuart's case where Stuart was saying, remember that screen share you just did?
Yeah.
So Debbie says, "Can you change the photo?" So if we could jump back into that, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then looks like Demian's with us live too. Demian's from Ecuador. I always wanted to go to Ecuador. I was supposed to go to Ecuador on a motorcycle tour to do some promotions for a motorcycle tour company, and then it fell through. And ever since then, I've always wanted to go.
Yeah, I had a thought, but I'm not going to say it. Changing the photo. Over here, in the course area, this photo by default is pulled from Gravatar. So if you go to gravatar.com and set up your account with the same email you have on your WordPress website, you can set a photo. WordPress and Gravatar are like interlinked. They like to use. They're both like future thinking technologies, and so having your globally recognized avatar here is the default way to do it. But if you're using LifterLMS Social Learning, you can set your own custom profile photo. But if you're not using what?
I was trying to do like the Croods. You ever see the movie The Croods?
No.
Dun, dun, dun.
But if you're not using social learning and you're not using Gravatar, because you're like, I don't want to go to a third-party website and I don't have LifterLMS Social Learning, you would go to Plugins, Add New, and then look up user profile picture. There used to be one from Publish Press, but then they turned it into like a membership plugin, which is weird. So now I do this one, user profile picture. Most of these would do the exact same thing. It's pretty simple functionality. This one also might work.
Before you change screens.
Yeah.
So you said this is the one you use, and there's more that do it.
Yeah.
It already changed screens. So the things that you look at, what makes you decide? Like for me, I look at 50,000 active installations, and when was it last updated? Because the one next to it was updated more recently, but it only has 2,000 active installations. And I'm like, well, I kind of trust 50,000 people more than 2,000 people. Like, how do you think in those terms?
I think that's important to look at. I think in the same kind of terms. This picture freaks me the hell out. But I no, but
Where's the Wendy's chick like this? Does not.
right. But yeah, 2,000 installs, 1 5-star review updated 3 months ago. So that was updated more recently. Less installs, 1 review. This has 60 reviews. This one has 41 reviews, but 100,000 installs updated more recently. With something like this kind of a plugin, it's rarely going to be consequential. It's important that the plugin has basic security practices, but in order for it to be on the WordPress repository, it probably does. Unless there's like a big warning that says don't install this plugin, which sometimes you'll find on the WordPress repo.
This has not been tested with your version of WordPress.
That's it.
Away from that one too.
That's the one. And but usually I just grab a random one or one that I've used before because for something that's lightweight like this, the consequentialness is not that big. Whereas if you wanted to dive into the features, if you wanted to contact a developer, look at their website, see what they're up to, you could get a more fully fleshed out view of what you're doing. For something like an LMS platform, I'd recommend doing that level of research. But for a user profile photo, just taking a cursory glance at their installs, reviews, and updates is all you need.
Cool.
But then when we go to users profile, this is where we'll have that opportunity now because that plugin adds this option for me to add my own custom profile image. It's going to ask me from the media library, this is actually me, so we're going to put that there. And then if we go to the course, we should see a different view now. And of course, I went to pages, which is not where we want to go. We want to go to courses, and there is my updated photo. So it's a little bit interesting that you have to go on a workaround of a custom profile plugin, but you have a few options. Gravatar or that.
No, that is totally cool. I think Debbie's going to be happy with that. There was a second part to a question that I completely passed over. That's because I wanted to address it because it was kind of unclear what we were talking about. Let's see what Debbie followed up with here. You skipped my. Let's see what Debbie's talking about. Hi all, I'm brand new to LifterLMS. This might be an obvious task, but can you change the course author on individual courses? That's what we just talked about, right?
No. No, this is
changing the name. Yeah, so but it's kind of in the same space.
Yeah, very similar space. So there's 2 items. Most people don't notice this, but we have author and instructor. If I zoom in, there's 2 different roles here, and it's a little confusing which is which. They show up in different places. When you're looking at the course catalog, if I go to the front end, you'll see the author is going to appear on the course catalog. This little person is the author, and then the instructors will appear when you view the course right here. And so to change the instructor, what you would do is go to that LifterLMS Rocket, add your new instructors. They need to either be website admins or instructors to appear here. I think author might also work, but you type in their name, you select them, and then you move them to the top, and then you can delete the one that does not have the star on it. And that's how you change instructors. But if you want to change the author, I don't know if we can. There we go. So if we do a quick edit, that's going to be probably the easiest way to do it. Do I have? Yeah, so if you do quick edit, there's an author option here. We can swap them out, and that'll change the author. And then I think you can also change it over here too, maybe. Over here. I don't know. Yep, author also is right here. So 2 ways to change the author. That's that one.
All right. Thanks, Debbie. Good to have you. And you're brand new to Lifter, so welcome to the LifterLMS family. It's great to have you here. Now, on to Jochen. I'm sorry, I am butchering this name. I skipped this part of the question because, quite honestly, I thought it would be just a different conversation. It says a question about Digistore. Are there any best practices for integration into Digistore? From what I've gathered, it can be done with wishlist.com. So a lot of integrations that have anything to do with any kind of external third party e-commerce platform, what I usually do is I see if they have an integration with WooCommerce, and then I install WooCommerce and integrate with WooCommerce. That's typically my shortcut for stuff. For instance, I had a client that had a Printify store, and so we put in WooCommerce. They connected the integration with Printify and WooCommerce, and then all of the orders that were placed in WooCommerce were automatically transferred to Printify, fulfilled through Printify, shipped through Printify, updated through WooCommerce, and notifications to the clients went out through WooCommerce. So it worked really, really, really well. But of course, when we integrated WooCommerce, we also integrated the access plans to Lifter into WooCommerce, which is so you end up with a WooCommerce website with LifterLMS doing your learning stuff. Emily, what are your thoughts?
I did a search for Digistore WordPress, and it looks like Zapier is going to be the way to do it. Maybe the smoothest. Like Lifter does work well with Zapier, so if you sell through your
Yeah.
Digistore, you can have a trigger that says when this Digistore order is completed, take the email from that order and create an account on my separate WordPress website with LifterLMS. Maybe you could do a wish list integration, but I might recommend Zapier as a consideration.
Yeah, it's whenever you get into these third-party sites, there's always something else to consider. The other thing to consider, quite honestly, and I go to this a lot, and sometimes I'm surprised at how well it works out. But Lifter LMS has a REST API. And so in some cases, you can find out that, using the REST API, you're able to make tags or connections with things through Lifter directly, right? So it would be like kind of an interface. There's all kinds of ways to try and look at the integration between Lifter LMS and what you're trying to connect to. In a lot of cases, with these e-commerce solutions, you're having something produced or made or generated as a third party somewhere else, and you just need that information to be able to be billed or cash registered through your website. Typically, that's what I see. The other side of the coin I've seen a lot of people do, and I don't have any experience with a Digistore site, but man, I'm going way back. I'm going so far back, it's not even funny. I can't even remember the name of it now. Not Blurb. It was the place I used before Blurb. This has to be 12, 14 years ago. The e-commerce platform had the ability to embed via iframe the catalog and the shopping into my site, which was pretty interesting. So I think it was Cafe Press. That was the name of it. It was Cafe Press. I don't know if they're still around or not. But I had products on Cafe Press, and I was able to embed the Cafe Press catalog and the Cafe Press purchase links directly through my WordPress website. And that was something that worked really, really well for me at the time. So each of these platforms has their own way to integrate and work magic. It's just that it takes research to figure out how you want to make that happen. And then Emily just turns around and walks away from me. It's all right. Debbie says, "Thank you so much. And what a gorgeous photo."
Thank you.
And we got a thank you there too. So we're doing good there. I'm going to go back to the original thing. We still got about a half hour to go, folks. I've got a couple of more questions in the bank here, but if you have any questions, I encourage you live, put them in. Lifter LMS for the chat is anywhere that you're watching: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X. It's all available. So if you have a question, put it in on the comments and we can go ahead and get to you. And hey, that's nice. This helps a lot already. Awesome. I actually wish I was a little more deeper on the help on that one question about the Digistore thing. I just don't have any Digistore experience. And again, you really got me thinking back. So I used to publish books on Cafe Press, and then I switched to Blurb. And with Blurb, I found out that I could market. I I could either port it to my website or to Amazon.com, for published books on Amazon. And so I had to make, and it was either or. It wasn't either and, right? It was either or. And so I had to make that decision and go, okay, so what gets better traffic? Mañana no Mas, or this weird website I'm building to sell this book, or Amazon. And so I ended up doing the Amazon connection, and I've been selling my books through Amazon, and that's been working really well. But I have them printed and distributed through a company called Blurb, which makes that incredibly easy for me. So, and in case you're wondering, no, I haven't sold that many books. Here we go. I got one from Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Am I the only person that knows what Bye, Felicia is? Bye, Felicia.
Probably.
All right. So we're all going to have to watch movies this weekend to catch up on Kurt's sense of humor. So from Felicia, in Astro Pro theme. First off, I'm going to give you some of this right here. I'm an Astro Pro user myself. How can I change the padding around the text of buttons? Last week you showed how to change the color. Thank you. Is there a way to do that? Hopefully without CSS. Mine currently looks like a small pill, not the one on last week's demo. So can we pull up an Astra site and take a look at the button settings?
Yeah. And this is padding around the text of buttons. Could you let us know, I don't know if Felicia's in chat, but what kinds of buttons we're talking about? I'm on SkyPilot here. And so if we're looking for pill-shaped buttons, we're going to head this way.
And it's going to be probably like when we added a button to download a PDF or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So if we're in the WordPress editor, maybe I should go to a lesson, be a little more practical for what we're looking for. What is LifterLMS?
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and take her question down because it's covering up part of your workspace.
Yeah. So if we do a button, there's a few options. So if you're in Astra, Spectra is kind of an add-on to that, made by the same people. So Spectra Blocks gives you buttons that can do really cool things. WordPress out of the box has this button here, download the thing. And so the options for styling this are going to be a little bit limited. This is WordPress out of the box, but we can still change our background color. We can change our text color. We can do an outline button instead. We can change our typography size, dimensions, and then if we select this little option right here, we can even change things like letter casing, line height, decoration, stuff like that. We can add more options here. Most people don't know that you can click on these little three dots to give yourself some more options. Not on color, but on maybe dimensions. No, we just have padding. So that's about the limit of what we can do on a WordPress button. But
the biggest thing that you pointed out, but I want to make sure that we really hit home on, is the three buttons. Whether you have Spectra or you're working straight up in like a Gutenberg block editor without Astra, let's say you're in Cadence or you're in something else, that little hamburger three dot button thing, that opens up your extra design tools. And a lot of people struggle to find like they go, oh, WordPress sucks because I can't modify and change anything. And you're like, no, it's there. You just have to open it, enable it, or unlock it, however you want to phrase it.
Yes.
You made a great point when you mentioned Spectra, by the way. I forgot to mention Spectra, but like you can install Astra and then you can install Astra Pro, which gives you extended features in your dashboard, activate all these things and features. But Spectra is what kind of gives you the extra design options inside the editing screen, inside Pages and Lessons.
Yes, and we'll show how to do that as well, because that's probably where you'll get the most flexibility with your buttons. But yeah, if you don't see an option in WordPress, you can Venmo Matt Mullenweg $100 and
we're gonna get sued.
But going to plugins, add new, this is where we'll find Spectra and Cadence blocks. Those are two of the most popular ones that we use. If you're in Astra, I would recommend Spectra. If you're in Cadence, I'd recommend Cadence blocks. So Spectra WordPress plugin, So let's activate this. This will give us a button option that is way beyond what WordPress out of the box can do right now. So we'll show you that. So I'll just go back over here. And let's add a button now that we have Spectra installed. So this is Spectra. You can see it has a little label for Spectra at the top. And if we find the button that lives within here,
it was up.
It was up. It was buttons. There it is. And so now if we visit this right-hand side, we will see the options have just multiplied a lot. We have topography settings, we have spacing settings, we have general settings for alignment, we have some vertical spacing, button sizing changes that we can do as a default. These are mostly going to be the same, but in advanced animations, yeah, you could do fade down, you could do, let's go through every single animation, slide down. But yeah, so there's a lot of animations you could add. You could do display conditions so that depending on your user role, you see the button or you don't see the button. Depending on the browser you're on, you can show like this button is not going to be visible on Google Chrome. You could do some really advanced things with, if you're doing layering, you could do z-index. We're familiar with like X and Y, but z-index is like the depth of things on your page. They can be stacked on top of each other. And yeah, so there's a lot that you can do with Spectra that goes on top of what you could do in a WordPress button. So I'd recommend go with a WordPress button if you can do it with that. But if not, you can also go to the infinity and beyond with Spectra.
Yeah, careful, because Infinity is the best bundle that LifterLMS sells. And so I want to give fair screen time. I get torn in two directions a lot between Cadence and Astra, and I have agency access to both. So by that, I mean, I bought the license to, I could put on as many websites as I want. And so Astra to me was one of the first ones I did. I did Astra, Astra Pro, and I was using Elementor a lot, and they had an Elementor essential element to go with Elementor. And then they had the Spectra thing that expanded the capability of WordPress. So Astra Pro has a license with all of those features. It's a really potent design set of tools. It's not one tool, it's a set of tools. And then Cadence has Cadence Pro. Now, one thing I like about Cadence Pro is I get one license key and it activates all the stinking tools I subscribe to. And that's what like Lifter does. Lifter's a key and you can activate our add-ons. Astra has a different license key for each of the products. So when you first set it up, it's got a little more friction to get set up. So that's my only real critique of it, critical thing. So everything we showed you with Spectra, if you had Pro, you would have access to Cadence blocks and Cadence Pro and all those settings. So you would get a similar experience in the same editing space. And then if you wanted to go with full site editing, which is a different way to edit websites, that's a newer way through WordPress, I would recommend SkyPilot, which is the theme that comes directly from LifterLMS. And then if you are in the page builder space and you want a lot of freedom to do things and you have the bandwidth to learn detailed structures, then I would say Bricks would be a good thing to look at. I don't know why I said all that, but I felt like it needed clarity because I just felt like if I was a new person to Lifter, because I try to remember people that are coming to this, they might be brand new, I started WordPress in 2004. So I try to remember what was it like, right? And then you were like, I just activate this thing and whiz kabam, I can do all these cool things. It's like, okay, we should probably explain that more. So that was it. This was recorded. I won't ever have to say that again for another 6 months. Let's see. We got here Christopher Stammer. That's a familiar name. So Chris, great to have you with us. Just question for you. How can I change the information that shows up in the course catalog below the title of the course. For instance, right now it has my email address and the number of lessons. Thanks. Is this a Lifter LMS Labs tour? Because you could remove that information.
Yeah. So
CSS, right?
yes, you can. So if your email address is showing though, and you want your name to show, I might modify your display name. So if we go to the front end of the site, oh, I have it open right there. You see Arthur Wells, and then if I were to change that to like, if I didn't have a name in here, I think it would auto select my email. So that's why I think sometimes people's emails will show up here, but usually your display name will not be your email. If you did want to cut that off completely, Lifter LMS Labs, like Kurt said, if we go to plugins, add new, let's look up Lifter LMS Labs. It's free. We'll use the action manager to cut that piece off. And then there's also a feature I can add on that you might not know about that's really cool and new in Lifter LMS. So if we go to Labs, though, Action Manager, this is the one we're looking for. We're going to look for the course and membership catalogs author right there. We'll get checked. And then when that's checked, the author is gone. And oh, I'm in Astra now, so it looks different. But magic. But I just didn't reload this page since I switched over to Astra, so that's why it changed so suddenly. And then you also wanted to change below the title of the course, your email address and the number of lessons. Yeah, so you could change your display name or just delete it completely. But then also, Lifter LMS out of the box has a new feature where you can add featured pricing information, or it's really just a featured block of text, so you can customize your catalogs even more than you could before. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's under general. There it is, featured pricing information. So we can say, this course is cool and $100. And so whatever text you want to add to your page here, you can go back out to the catalog and it will say that text, this course is cool and $100. So if you wanted to use that for the course author, if you wanted to use that for a course description, if you wanted to use it for the price, you have access to that box now on every single course to add some custom text.
Kevin Geary would write, if you want to continue to develop like a chump, click here. Have you seen his training where he calls people chumps?
No, but is that like a in term of endearment?
No, for old people like me, when someone calls you a chump, it means like you are an uneducated pushover.
Yeah,
it's a very derogatory term.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't know why people develop like this. When they develop like this, you know what I call them? I call them chumps. Do you want to develop like a chump?
Oh my God, yeah. That sounds like a classic infomercial style of selling.
But wait, that's not all.
That's not all. You're a chump if you don't buy this package.
Oh, it's good stuff. All right. So we've got a few questions here that Gavin pumped in, and then I've got a few more questions that I have that were pre-submitted. Christopher says, awesome. You guys are great. Thank you, which is good. I don't know. I'm feeling a little more animated. Must be the podcast I did earlier. I didn't even read the question first. Let's fly blind and see if I do something stupid. Do you know when Lifter will support price changes at checkout? I enjoy Lifter's checkout page and rather not use WooCommerce. First off, Gavin, I don't blame you. I don't know what it is about WooCommerce that gets under my skin so badly. We integrate with it. Woo's a strong product. There's a ton of add-ons. There's a ton of functionality. I'm not here to talk bad about Woo. I just, for some reason, I have customers we developed a custom WooCommerce experience for, and I still like when it says view cart and that blue banner. I hate it. So I get it. But I think the way that our access plans work, unless you were to take a look at like the groups and how you can multiply the number of seats automatically and stuff like that, that changes the price. But changing the prices at checkout, I think I need more details about. Emily, do you know what that is? Is it like you advertise it for $50, but they get to checkout and it's on sale for $30?
I think it might be like an upsell.
So let's see here. We got some more. There's more coming. When a student purchases a course, they should see a checkbox option at the checkout page to request a physical certificate. If the checkbox is checked, the additional price set by admin.
Yeah.
So you want to do multiple purchases in one transaction in the LifterLMS payment gateway, which we're not set up for. You could change the access and upgrade. You could have like a one-click sales page, which is a whole topic that Emily covered on a Feature Friday on a Tuesday once, and that was, you could sell the course for $50, right? And then instead of it going to the checkout, it actually goes to a page that says, did you want just the course, or do you want the course with the certificate for so many dollars? And then it goes to a direct purchase link to that escalated price purchase. I'll see if Emily comes back to clarify that. But we covered that on a Feature Friday, and it was only, I think that was about 2 months ago. I was talking about the Feature Friday segment you did with the one-click upsell, where let's say someone wants to buy the course for $50, and then instead of going to the checkout, they go to a page that says, did you want the course for $50, or do you want the course with the physical certificate for $65? And then it goes to a direct purchase link. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I love that one. Do you want to
That's
show
a
it?
great upsell thing. And then I think that would answer Gavin's question based on his use case. And it says the price changes on the front end, but not when the purchase goes through. Only the base price of the course is charged. Well, yeah. So we'll show you pretty quickly here how to do this, Gavin, so that you can have. So when someone purchases a course, instead of going to the purchase page, they're going to go to another page that will have purchase choices.
Yes. So, in LifterLMS out of the box, this is how I recommend people do it: is duplicate our button. So we have, I want the physical certificate to, and then maybe this is $100, and this one is $50. I don't know. So we'll publish this, and then we'll have our text that describes kind of what we're selling here. But if they go for the course plus certificate, we'll have that as an access plan, and then we'll have as a separate access plan. This is like a game now. There we go. Okay, $100. Then that's going to be the
Reminds me of that game show with Howie Mandel when you had to pick the right briefcase to get the money.
right.
Deal
And then this is going to be one time, and it's just the course. Just the course.
Yeah. Do you want to be a chump, or do you want to get a certificate?
Yep, I would use that exact text on your page. So then, like Kurt said, you have your purchase links here, course plus certificate. We're going to link that to, I want the physical certificate too. Let's link it up. And then for just the course, we're going to do this one right here, right like this. And then
we're going to save our changes.
Save changes. And then when you're on your course page, selling your course, instead of this nonsense right here, we don't need that. We're going to do a button that says buy now. And then this button will link to our page. So that, let me see if I can find the link. There it is. And I would style this up more, spend more than 2 minutes building this to have that real potency with your sales. And then if we view the course now, we should see we've sold them on buying the course. They click buy now, and then they're asked, do you want the certificate for for an extra $50? And they can say yes for $100, or they can say only $50 and just get the course.
And you didn't have to buy a WooCommerce add-on to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, Gavin, are you watching this live? Are you happy? Here he says, yes, upsell to order the physical copy. Boom. Gavin, I need you to stand up wherever you're at now. If you're in a cubicle in a big office center, this will even be more funny. I want you to stand up and just go like this. Woohoo! All right. Gavin says thank you. So I've got one to bring you, and this will be from Cindy. It's kind of a two-part question. Cindy is a sweetheart. I know her personally. She's amazing. But she wants to know, how do I disable the auto email notifications that are set up in LifterLMS settings? So if she can't disable them completely, she would like to know how to customize them.
Disable the auto email notifications. Yeah, totally. So, if we
Settings and
go,
notifications.
that's right. Settings, notifications. So if I go to LifterLMS settings, notifications at the top, this is where all of our emails are coming in from. So I would run through all like 10, 15 of these and make sure that they're turned off. I don't know about payment due. I would leave that one on. But like student welcome, if you're using a CRM like Groundhog, Fluent CRM, or something that's third party like ConvertKit or MailChimp, I would maybe turn this one off so that the student welcome is going to come from our CRM rather than from the back end of Lifter. Lifter offers lightweight email solutions for people who are not yet ready to go to a full CRM setup. But if you are integrating a CRM into your business, you might as well run your communications through there. So that the only thing that Lifter will send is a purchase receipt and a lost password, and everything else is CRM based. But yeah, you can run through course complete and be like, nope, no email, save changes, and just do that for all of them.
Yeah, and real important, like people might think, oh, well, can I delete the email? You're not deleting the email, you're disabling the email. So those emails by default are checked to go to, sometimes they go to the instructor, sometimes they go to the admin, sometimes they go to the student, but you can add or delete people that you want to send those emails to. The other option is perhaps you have an internal email that's telling you, hey, somebody signed up for your course, and it goes to the admin, but you also want it to go to accounts receivable, accounts payable, operations director at your facility or whatever. You simply click add CC, add a carbon copy to, and put their email in there and save it. And so you'll get the email, and that extra person will also get the email. So you have the ability to add recipients, you have the ability to disable, and that same window that Emily was just in, you can edit those emails, and there's different merge codes and short codes and things like that that you can put in place. Again, lightweight email solution. If you want to have custom emails like a custom header and a footer and I shouldn't even be saying it because it's email, but you know what I'm saying, an opening image and a shaded background and a gradient this and a gradient that, and animations and God knows what else you want to put in your emails, then you would want to go with an active CRM tool. Now, the other question from Cindy is, can you point me to a resource or video that discusses how to integrate, consolidate the My Account page and the My Dashboard page when you have LifterLMS and PM Pro running together, streamline? There is a resource. If you go to lifterlms.com and you go to / recommended resources, and I bring this up on, I'm going to put the link in chat just so people see it. Let me copy and put it into chat. And hey, Gavin's doing the whole deal for me. Gavin, you're going to have to email us a picture of you standing up going, woohoo. That's perfect. All right. So anyway, here we go. LifterLMS.com / recommended resources. If you go there, you see a list of all the different third-party tools that we interact with really well, that we've tested, that we kind of vetted, right? Like you could ask us a question about it, and chances are we're going to know enough about it to point you in the right direction. Now, if we go to Paid Memberships Pro, on that recommended resources page, we're going to see that they have another resource, and that is right here. It says paidmembershipspro.com. So this is a resource at Paid Memberships Pro, not a resource directly at LifterLMS. But if you go to add-ons / LifterLMS, they have a more lightweight installation of LifterLMS put into your Paid Memberships Pro installation. Now, that doesn't mean that if you have LifterLMS and Paid Memberships Pro already that you're screwed and you got to rebuild your whole website. That's not what that means. But They do have a more lightweight application for that. And that's where some things are automatically consolidated, where Paid Memberships Pro picks up the course stuff and runs the membership dashboard and then imports that stuff to their dashboard. So that might be something worth taking a look at. Emily, what are your other solutions there? Would you add endpoints from Paid Memberships Pro to a LifterLMS dashboard, or would you try to add LifterLMS shortcodes and endpoints to a Paid Memberships Pro dashboard?
I would flip a coin, and I would. No, I think that I would do a memberships dashboard, Paid Memberships Pro, and then put Lifter on it.
And I'm just going to use, I have a little more information about this particular user behind the scenes than most people, I guess. Anyway, I know the use case. This particular person, no matter what comes out of that result, is going to say, nope, I hate it. I want this to be a lighter color periwinkle. This is going to have a blue wave behind it. I need these menu options to be buttons and not text links. I understand that fully, at which point, no matter which solution you pick, whether you pick the dashboard from Paid Memberships Pro or LifterLMS, you're still going to dive into a little bit of CSS to fix that dynamic content. All right. And she's a whiz at CSS, or at least what I've seen so far. Looks pretty dang awesome. Adam, this is great news. I want to give you a shout out. Update, the kid's doing well. We don't do this often, folks. I don't promote a lot of things. But Adam's a friend of the show. Adam's kid had a motorcycle accident, lost part of his leg. And it says here, prosthetic leg, ideally to be his April 2nd, plus your new podcast. Yes, the AdamSilvershow.com. But you had that GoFundMe link, and hopefully that GoFundMe link's been a little successful for you too. Like I say, friend of the show, and I'm also a power sports expert. So when someone says, hey, I'm a friend of the show and I had a motorcycle accident, well, then my heart just breaks in 6 pieces. So I'm glad to hear that the kid's doing really well, Adam. That is awesome, awesome news. We've got one more input here from Delphine. We've got 3 minutes left, so let's see what we've got here. Is there a way to create reminder emails depending on which access plan is used? I have one that should be notified in 2 weeks, one in 4 weeks, and one immediately. Can I do that through engagements? Engagements aren't really derived through access plans, right? It has to be a course or is one of the triggers an access plan, Emily? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so. Purchase as an access plan. Yep.
Yeah, so absolutely, Delphine, you could absolutely do this. If one of the triggers is access plan, then you're going to be able to say when a student activates an access plan, trigger this email, then you select the email that you've pre-created, and you send it within this duration. So a 0 in the duration field means immediately. So a 0 is immediately, and then the number that you put in that field is the number of days. So 4 weeks would be 28, 2 weeks would be 14. And put in the number of days to delay that notification. And I shouldn't say notification, to delay that engagement. And that would go there. And that GoFundMe, by the way, was, look at that, parkersilver.com, parkersilver.com. So if that's still not fully funded, that would be a good thing to visit. If you, no shame, no game, right? It's you have the ability, great. If you don't, that's fine too. But I like to share where we can. So that's a friend of the show and someone in need right there. Chris says, awesome, you guys are great. I think we got that one already. I think that we are, and there's some spam in here telling us to go to some other video channel to look at some weird junk. We're not going to do that on the show. Certainly not going to do that on the show. We did have a further up question. It was about embedding that video, and I want to make sure that I get this right. Yeah, if embedding the video I can't use, has to finish the video, etc. That is correct, Joaquin. If you embed the video from another source and it's not attached to advanced videos, you're not going to get advanced video features. The video is only going to display. What you could do, though, I'm sure that the video player in your video host would allow you to remove certain player options. Like you could remove the fast forward, you could remove the settings to speed up the playing of the video and stuff like that. So that could help influence the user experience and help direct people to finish the content before moving on. Also, you could always just put a quick knowledge check at the back end of these videos, right? You could have they play the video and then you ask them 2 or 3 questions, like a question from the beginning of the video, a question from the middle of the video, and a question from the end of the video. And you have that as, a short knowledge check after each video presentation. So that kind of drives them to the idea that they have to complete the videos in order to do the knowledge check in order to get to the next video. So there's a lot of ways without advanced videos to make magic happen. One of the biggest drives I see for advanced video and video usage is the mandatory viewing of video to justify the hours spent in the class, like for continuing education programs and things like that. And if that is your use case, then yeah, you would want to remove the player controls inside your video host, right? Just embed the video. If they were to exit the page and go back into the page, the video would just start over. They'd have to watch the whole dang thing again. But then have that knowledge check that validates or verifies that they saw the content in the video. So the questions in the knowledge check would be directly based on what was covered in the video. For continuing education purposes, that generally meets the requirement. Let's see. Adam says, much appreciated. Delphine says, yes, it is. I don't know what it is anymore, but Delphine, perfect. Understood, quick thinking, and thanks again. All right, folks, that brings us past the top of the hour. We are in overtime for an Ask Us Anything call. That hasn't happened in a while. I appreciate the people coming. I appreciate the participation. Have yourself a wonderful week, and we will see you next time.